So I started a conversation about singles who are very fond of cutting people off. Somebody does, I cut her off. I cut him off. You just keep cutting, cutting people off. And it's not a bad thing to set boundaries, but sometimes I feel like people don't cut people off because of boundaries that they've created. There's boundaries that are created out of their values and identity. I'm not talking about boundaries we just create because society says we should protect our peace. No, I'm talking about boundaries that were created from a deep sense of identity and purpose and values and beliefs and all of that. And when you cut people off based on those things, it's understandable. It's it's vital because you understand what is at stake if certain people cross certain lines that you have created to protect, who you are and where you are headed. But there's some people who just cut people off just because they cannot face the reality of most of their weaknesses, their bad behaviors, their inconsistencies, and it's something that you need to evaluate because you don't need to be in a serious relationship with the opposite sex or be married to begin to know the aspects of your character that does not match teamwork or partnership. You have to, from your everyday relationships, your colleagues, your social network, your small groups in church, you are learning about yourself. You are learning about, things that you cannot accept, your expectations within relationships. So I'm just trying to say that your relationships teach you a lot about yourself. And if you can begin to identify, yes, of course, you can identify your strengths in relationship, but it's also good to identify the weaknesses so that you know what you are working on. So that when you now get into a serious relationship or you get married, you're already aware that these are your flaws and you are actively working on them. Not that it becomes a shock when your spouse or your intended partner for life begins to complain about these things. And then at that time, especially when you get married, you can't now cut off the person you have been married to. You now have to actually deal with whatever tendencies that will sabotage the bliss that you desire in your marriage. That's what I'm trying to say.